Not all carbon bikes are created equal. Manufacturers often have different tiers or levels of carbon frame, and Canyon has just brought out a new premium level frame. Different models, all available under the initials CFR, have just been released, which stands for Canyon Factory Racing. Previously, Canyon's top-end frame sets were given the moniker CF SLX, but now it's CFR. And according to Canyon, it's a no expense spared approach to bike design and engineering, and they're said to be using even more expertise and input from their pro teams and riders to reach, well, hopefully the next level of bike performance for them and, well, us as well. On the road side, which is what we're interested in, there's only one bike at the moment, but we're expecting Canyon to launch others in the very near future, and that is the Ultimate CFR. Now, this is said to be the lightest production disc brake road frame set available to humanity at the moment. Although we did see this previously with the precursor to the CFR, which was the Ultimate CF Evo, which was launched at the Tour de France last year. This means that the Canyon Ultimate is now available in 3 tiers of frame set, but all of them externally look the same. They're the same shape, but the weight is quite different. So the top of the range CFR is said to be just 641 grams for the frame, which is astonishingly light. So we wanted to explore what makes it, or what enables it to be so much lighter than the CFSL. You know, what's the difference in the carbon layup, and how does that affect performance of the 2 frames? Now, unfortunately, because of the current global pandemic, we were unable to get out to Canyon's HQ in Koblenz, but we were able to send one of our team members from GCN Auf Deutsch, Willy, to go and do a video interview with one of the engineers at Canyon. Now, this isn't quite the video that we were hoping to make because this is such a fascinating subject and we feel there's lots to be explored here. But if you do have questions about this, as I say, we will be revisiting it, so fire them down in the comments and we'll look to explore them in future videos.
Hi, my name is Daniel Heider. I'm a product development engineer at Canyon Bicycles.
My first question is, the frames look the same externally, but are they the same externally, and do they come from the same mold?
So the tube shapes are actually 100% the same, and in terms of aerodynamics, for instance, if it just comes to the fork and the frame, we are talking about the same. For sure, some of the components might differ. For instance, for entry-level carbon bikes, we sometimes tend to use traditional stems. For the CFR version, you can only get it with our carbon cockpit. So there is a slight difference if we talk about the whole bike, but if it's just the frame or the fork, it's 100% the same and it comes out of the same mold.
What are the differences in the raw materials and the carbon fibers that are used?
So the differences of the raw material are, very scientific, I would say. So you've got to dive really deep into the science of material. Yeah, we have, on the one hand, we have pitch-based materials, which has a very, very high modulus. That's why it's called ultimate high modulus carbon. And on the other hand, we have pen-based material which has a very, very high tensile strength. So you can actually imagine it like this. So on the y-axis there is pan-based material which has a very high tensile strength, and on the x-axis there is ultra-high modulus material. And these ultra-high modulus materials are out of almost 80% raw pitch, and that's why they get so stiff in the end. And our CFR frames consist of approximately 70% of those high modulus fibers.
Presumably at around 600 grams lighter, there must be less material in there. So how thin are the walls on the CFR frame?
Tough questions. I think we here at Canyon, we still have to keep a few secrets, but I can tell you how it would actually look like. So if you can imagine a Coca-Cola can, that's roughly the wall thickness we are achieving on our CFR frames. So we are talking about a wall thickness of around 0.6 millimeters, which are 6 layers of carbon fiber pre-preg material. But one difference to a Coca-Cola can, or actually there are more than one, but one big difference of the Coca-Cola can to our CFR frames is that our CFR frame is perfectly stiff and the Coca-Cola can is actually soft as it is today, and you would not like to ride a Coca-Cola can, wouldn't you?
So how do you reduce the amount of material in a frame but still maintain stiffness and strength?
If you want to maintain the same stiffness and strength just by reducing the material, we here use two main scenarios. So one scenario is the perfect mix of those high tensile fibers and those high modulus fibers. If you have a carbon frame out of only high modulus fibers, it would be super stiff but not curable at all. So we need to achieve the perfect mix of those two different materials. On the other hand, we have the manufacturing process, so we call it layuping. So here you have different possibilities to gain the last tiny grams of each frame. For instance, you can control the overlapping of two different layers, and you can try to get to the very border of the overlap in order to reduce the frame by sometimes even only 0.1, 0.5 grams. And that's why we always go for a 100% CT scan on all of our CFR frames in order to ensure that we are on point with our quality and that each CFR frame meets the same requirements.
Is the production different between the CFSL and the CFR? You know, why does the CFR require specialist craftspeople to make? Is it made in the same place?
So what is important to know if we talk about our carbon frames, each layer of the carbon frame is done by hand. Actually, they're even done at the same place, but from different teams. Let's just compare a CFSL frame with a CFR frame. The CFSL frame requires a lot of accuracy because it's done by hand for sure. But if we talk about the CFR level, we have specially shaped patches which just fit on that one section of the frame. If you're not placing the patch perfectly, you might not achieve the requirements and targets we had for the bike. So that's why we need a very well-trained team in order to achieve the best targets for our pro athletes.
So why does one cost so much more than another?
For our frames, we just use the best material in order to achieve the best performance. And for sure, that's a little pricey, I would say. So if we talk about testing, also the testing and the manufacturing process itself, there is a little larger price tag on it, I would say. But in the end, you get that back on your bike and you get the best value for the price you pay.
Well, thanks for your time and answering our questions. And as I say, this is a topic that we hope to visit in more detail and hopefully visit Canyon's HQ to explore it further. So if you do have any of your own specific questions, put them in the comments because there's a good chance we can ask those questions in person once we're able to travel out to Germany. And in the meantime, if you'd like to find out more about where carbon fibre comes from, well, we've got a video on that you can check out as well. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.